Most gyms write random workouts, or worse, completely outsource their programming to somebody who's never met their members. But world-class coaches build pathways. They build a pathway for success for the members that actually achieve the change that they want to and engage in the process. Today on the podcast, we've got head coach Lily coming in to talk about the insights into what goes behind a world-class program like what we do here at Newstrength. So Lil, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
A little bit of background for you guys listening at home. Lily's been dodging me for this episode for about, I reckon, 3 months, but we've finally locked her down. She is here against her will, but I'm sure that if you guys listen in, you're going to get some great insights into the work that she does to make the program that we have here. And to give you guys a bit of a deeper insight, this has been something that's been my baby for a long time now, and it takes a lot for me to relinquish a little bit of control, and it's still a journey, but to show you guys how much value that there is inside the brain of Lily over here is like, she's been the first person I've been able to hand this off to over the last 5 years to really develop and progress the program that we've been creating at Newstrength and really hit the core pillars of what we do that I think is what makes what we craft very, very special. So, Lil, let's dive into it. Like, we'll look back on the last 6 months, and we've spent a lot of time together in going through a bit of like what we identify as like what's a Newstrength program versus what's the other stuff that's out there. So I guess if you want to give people just a little bit of a background on yourself and your own training journey, and we'll keep it short, cool. And then we'll dive right in.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah. So I have trained since I can remember, and I have probably gone through every training, I guess, cycle hype that you can think of, apart from F45. But yeah, I've come from bodybuilding, absolutely loved and nerded out on all of like the bodybuilding magazines when I was in university, and any way that you could develop muscle. I then went into powerlifting.
Hold on. What did they have over in New Zealand there? Like
it was like the Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like,
the Bible, like Arnold's, the encyclopedia.
Had that, and they had 2 editions. So I got the new edition for my birthday as well. Yeah, yes,
that's magic there. That stuff is absolutely gold. All the old school pictures of like Arnold and the guys training at goals. That's it should be required reading for like there's guys that are probably starting to get into the industry now that probably don't even know who Arnold is. They know him as an actor, not a bodybuilder. And I feel like there's some culture that they need to learn by going back and reading over that stuff, right?
100%.
Sorry to interrupt. You can keep on going, but I feel like that's an important one to dive in on.
Yeah, I ate all of that up. I feel like that was definitely in our time frame and generation. Then I kind of pivoted into powerlifting because I picked up some pretty unhealthy eating, I guess, patterns, and then shifted and pivoted towards performance, which loved lifting heavy things. I still do. But then I got bored of lifting 3 movements. I then pivoted again into CrossFit, and that gave me quite a varied, I guess, aspect of training for a long time. I then trained myself up to become CrossFit level 1 and 2. And then I kind of realized that I was burning out, and it felt they had variation, but depending on the gym and the coaches and the programming, which we'll get into, a lot of it was generic, or they followed some high level programming that was not meant for general population. I then pivoted again into Olympic weightlifting and loved it, but then became very unfit. So this is like my journey of finding the middle ground of performance, lifestyle, functional fitness, and functional strength. So yeah.
Can we get some iron cred for the people at home as well, like some best lifts, like because you're incredibly strong.
Thanks, I'll take that. Yeah. Mum strength.
Yeah, so give us some numbers.
I'd like to preface this with I'm also heavier post-babies, but I would also like to shout out to the mums that once you've given birth, there is no pain like it. But yeah, my back squat, what did I hit 150 with you, hey? Or was it 145?
145.
150 was the goal.
150 was there, but you didn't want to take it.
I didn't want to, no. I have a limit on how far I push myself. It's just not worth it. Risk versus benefit.
I thought the full send was worthy of the opportunity, but Lily was smart.
Yes.
I still haven't learnt that step yet.
Yes, I always keep a little bit in the tank. I think it's wise. Yeah. Deadlift, I lifted, I think it was 175, 50-50, whether you count it. Strongman says yes. The powerlifter in me says no, because I hitched it.
Little lesson for you guys at home. It doesn't matter. If you're competing, it matters, but if you're not competing, it does not matter.
I'm a stickler for the rules, Jacob.
Yeah, as long as it's locked out and it's like, I don't know, you didn't
eventually
find some cheat, like you didn't get like somebody else to help you lift it up, it counts.
So that was that. And then my clean and jerk. I'm yet to hit the 100 post babies,
But you've
post
hit
second bar.
100,
But I have
correct?
hit 100 clean and jerk after my first baby. And then my snatch is 81. So yeah.
Yeah, so just throwing it out there for you guys listening at home. Like, she's got some iron cred. She's got some legit iron cred. So when she's talking about the things that we do here, and she's done all this while also doing conditioning as well. So it's not like she's just done that and then just gone, oh, okay, I don't care about any sort of cardiovascular fitness. So she's dove deep into this stuff and got a lot of results that are most people would dream of. Like, most people don't believe that they could achieve the stuff that Lily's been able to deep dive into. And that's why she's got such a great insight into like how this happens or how to progress these things, not only for the person who's just walking into the gym for the first time, but also to achieve things that most people don't think they're capable of. And I think that's why I wanted to get Lily in for this one here, so she could give a little bit of those insights on the whole journey and how this changes and adapts there. So I guess, like, let's dive into it, hey?
Yeah, let's do it.
So my big belief on training, and like I'm a nerdy logic science guy when it comes down to it, is for the real world, you need to balance the art and the science. And I think this is where a lot of people get stuck. You've got on one side of it, you've got the sports science, the scientific principles of strength training, and all these things that are like perfectly crafted for the ideal program. And on the other side of it, not to put a name to it, but you've got random workouts on the wall that have just never been planned out. There's no structure, there's no purpose. It's just what is hard today. But they're engaging because it changes all the time. It's variance and it feels hard. And there's this fine line between those two there. And I guess the first piece is like trying to find the match for the people that you're working with is the key piece here. It's for us, that's where the magic is. It's going to help somebody, one, get the results they're after and get them moving towards the goal, but two, also stay engaged in the process. And that's the really key thing, is like the perfect program isn't going to be perfect for everybody, because if they don't turn up 3 weeks in because like, shit, I got a back squat again, they're not going to get anywhere, right? So what do you feel like? Has that evolved for you over time personally? Like how your views have sat on that there, or has it been pretty similar? It sounds like you got bored in your powerlifting stage, and then that's what pushed you in towards the CrossFit world. Is that like the monotony of squat, bench, dead and stuff?
Yeah, I think for me, I have to know the why. Like, I have to know there is purpose and intent behind something. And I also look at longevity. So, is this making me a better 30, 40, 50-year-old? It's not sexy, but really, am I going to be able to do things later on in my life? And if I have one mode of training, I feel like it really pigeonholes me. It's a great way to really learn and lean in and have a niche. And I think while you're young, it's great. So I did a lot of my niche training in my 20s. And then once I kind of started having kids, my training evolved to reflect the demands of motherhood. And my training needed to change. I needed to adapt. I needed to get healthier. I needed to be more well-rounded. And I need to make sure that I'm still training explosively, but then I'm also able to run and I'm also able to still lift. So I definitely think it's evolved over the years, but every season has had a purpose.
And I guess that's the one of the key things as well, is like the evolution of like you having those changes is what helps you be able to refine and define that for where the person is right now in their own journey, right? I think that's one of the things that gets missed, is like maybe the younger coach that comes in, they only have so much worldview on training because that's all they've done before. So it's assumed that everyone should train like that. And that was me as well at that early on time. And then as I changed, as I adapted, and like I went deep into, Nathan and I went into powerlifting and then weightlifting, and like we just dove deep in every little thing, which is like was really valuable, and we loved it for that reason, because we nerded out on all the intricacies and how do we challenge this thing and that thing. But the reality of like what happened was eventually we got logjammed, it became emotionally stale, or we started to combat against like some of these things that like the injuries and stuff that pop up are from diving too hard into one thing and not balancing it out on the other side. And I think it's really, there is identifying who's the right person for it as well. Because like we all know, you guys all know Bev. Bev's off in America right now on her way to Worlds, and like Bev is the person who will follow, and I've gave her some really tough programs over the years of like the most just dialed in, here's where I want to go, and just give me whatever it takes, and I'll run my head first at a brick wall until I get there. And that could be Like, if you told her to do 10 by 10 back squats and deadlifts on the same day,
She would do it.
she would 100% do
She's
it.
so locked in.
Yeah. But as long as it went, this is towards my goal, I'll do it. If it was just random, I was like, just do this just for funsies, she'd probably be like, well, actually, we've tried to make her kill herself on cardio for funsies, or for our funsies most of the time. And she's like,
Our enjoyment.
I'm checked out. No, I'm not in on this. But that's the balance there. It's like, she's somebody, if you can see the purpose, if you can see where it's going to in the journey, she'll do whatever it takes. And a lot of other people would look at her program, and after the first day, they're out.
Yeah.
They would be sore for days. And that's the balance there, is like knowing the person who it's built for is the key there, and like how that evolves, how that changes. And I think the real balance there is what they want versus what they need. And somebody will say like, oh, I need to do more cardio because they want to maybe lose fat. And the perception is they need to do more cardio to do that. In reality, that might not necessarily be the case, but you want to give them a little bit of what they want because they want to buy. You want them to buy into it, along with the things that support it and what they need, and then getting that vice versa or both. What are some of the other things that we look at in like the person that we're working with as to like what dictates the program?
I think it's really important to look at our members, hey? Like, we are so lucky that we have such a range of members. We have a lot of mum-daughter duos, father-daughter duos. So we're really looking at age groups anywhere from 15, or how old is Zeke at the moment?
Oh,
He's
12?
probably, 12. So we've got 12-year-old in the gym. He doesn't follow our groups, but just to give you an idea. And then John, my client, is I think mid-60s. And then in our group sessions, we have, 15 years old to 60. So when we write programs, we need to make sure that it fits all of those clients and members. And this comes down to like application of programming and how we deliver it. And we write the program, and we need to make sure that it's scalable and like applicable to, our Leanne, Tammy, everyone, and then to Millie. So I think it's definitely problem solving, but also getting creative and making sure that it is applicable for our members. That's the first thing.
Yeah, for sure. And there's obviously there's all of those pieces there, like how much volume we've got, how do we balance it for the person who's training 2 days versus 6 days, and so on. And then all of these pieces come into it there. And this is really the key piece. And you nailed it on like knowing our members, because this is what most gyms like. All right, I'm going to get controversial. Okay, we're going to go
going
there.
Deep.
Like,
he's going in.
Is like, when you're getting a program that's written by somebody who's never fucking met your member, like, how do they know that? How do they know what Leanne needs, or what Millie needs, or what Nathan and I need to follow the same program is? And how do we fit that? Like, all of the pieces that come inside of that, they've never met that person before.
Yeah.
So it's not to discount like where that sits in the industry, but for us as people who have dove deep on it through our own journeys, like, that's what matters. Like, what matters is the who first. It's not the how of the program. It's not that it's like, oh, our program is the most elite thing. It's the fact that we understand our members better than anyone else does. And that's a real reason why, like, I know of other gyms, and not to take anything away from them, but they've outsourced their program for the last 4 or 5 years. And I'm like, well, this person's way smarter than me at this. I'm like, yeah, but that person's never been inside your doors. They haven't met your people. And like, I do honestly think there's people that are way smarter at programming than what we are.
100%.
But they don't know our members, and I know our members more than, and we as a team know our members more than any of those guys. So who's the best person to write our programs for our members? Us, because we care about them more. We're going to make sure it fits those people and what they're after and where they're going, as opposed to what's just a bottom line decision. Because in essence, like, I knew how much work I put into the program. I see how much work you put into the program right now. On the flip side of that, it probably costs more than $200 a month or whatever it is to get the subscription to Matt Fraser's program, or Tia Claire Toomey, or whoever it is that's doing it there. Like, that's pretty cheap compared to the hours that we put in.
Yeah.
But I'll never trade that. And that's a line in the sand of Newstrength, is Newstrength will never trade making sure our programs are developed for our people for making it more affordable for ourselves, so we make more money.
Yeah. 100%. I think it also goes against our values of like taking the easy path. Like, we will always put in the work, and we will always make sure that we don't do what everyone else is doing. We go against the grain, and you lead the way.
100%. So next piece there, like the main piece of where we start on a program, it's actually, Lil and I are going to be spending a bit of time on this for the 2026 path in the next 2 weeks. And we build a 12-month vision. a lot of people are only a couple of weeks out of what their next program is. So it's like we might not have every single detail of the program written out for 12 months, but we know exactly where it's going. And we share that with people too. Like every end of the year, we release to our clients, it's like, here's where your program is going in the next 12 months. So they know, okay, cool, well, we're going to be building up for Strong Mile. We're going to be working a little bit harder towards high rocks after that, or whatever those things are, and what you can expect out of the program in those times there. And then that way we can then shape the journey. So they know what to expect in that time. It's not going to get stale. It's not going to be the same thing over and over again. It's going to be something that's going to be building towards a journey that's then going to help them at the end of the year be a stronger, fitter, healthier version of themselves. Like our year this year has been like our Ignite program, which was our power and Strong Mile based program, building. Well, what were the key things in that there, Lil? I won't talk too much because otherwise I'm just going to keep on rambling. Don't laugh over the back behind the mics as Nathan is laughing now.
So Ignite, our lighthouses, and that was Strong Mile was the main one. So like that was our guiding factor in the gym, was we are building up specifically for Strong Mile, but also making sure it's applicable for those that aren't doing Strong Mile. So if you don't know what Strong Mile is, it is our competition that the boys launched a couple of years ago. It is a max power clean, max bench press, and a 1 mile run. So fit, strong, and power elements, and that filtered into our Ignite program, which runs for 12 weeks.
Little insight as well, we might be dropping the date of 2026 very soon. I can't give it away now.
Exciting.
But it's going to be coming soon.
Yeah, stay tuned. So that was basically our anchor for Ignite, and that was the purpose for the training program, was to work on our strength and explosiveness whilst also keeping a base for our conditioning, so making sure that people were fit as well. Yeah,
max aerobic power bias. Like obviously, the more you dive into the details of the program, is like you can't stack the same thing on top of itself all the time and continue to get results. We have to then stack on capacities that help produce a bigger result at the end of it there. And that led into, like, obviously that from that conditioning perspective, we built that massive aerobic power base, and then we shifted into all day. Lily's favorite program of the year.
that's the hardest one.
What did we see from the members in that time? Like what were the result that came off the back end of that there?
You know what? It was so interesting to watch as a coach. And I think at first, from what I saw, and probably myself, a little bit of resistance going into it because it was long. It was endurance based. So working on our longer aerobic outputs. So that meant our volume was a little bit higher. So members definitely came away from all day feeling so fit. And we have a term in New Zealand which we say like all day on the footy field, which means I can go all day, can you? So it was always like this competitive thing. So I used to shout that at the team as well, like all day. So everyone came away and they were fit, and that was prepping for high rocks. A lot of our members, you and Nathan did high rocks. So did Jess and Claire.
The goal's sub 60 next year as well that Nathan and I've set. That's on the Power 12s, sub 60.
Jess and Claire, yes.
We're going to try to go down to opens so we can see if we can just nail the run first and go a sub 60. And then like I think the big underpinning thing here as well is like all day built belief more than it built fitness. And I think that comes into like all of our programs is we want to be building belief through the journey. Like I remember towards the back end of Ignite, like the high rocks tickets were coming out and I picked out Colby and I was like, you're fucking doing this. And she's like, nah, I can't do it. Like I'm not fit enough for this. She's like, I've only just started running and we're only doing a mile now. I'm like, you've got 3 months to prep for this. I've got the program ready. If you just turn up and do the things that we say, I believe you can do this. And then she hesitated a little bit. The tickets came out. They sold out. They ran a re-release there. And I'd hustled her in between and just jabbed at her a little bit. And then she'd come out a little bit. Everyone knows that I'm very...
He's persistent.
I'm persistent and I'm very forward about it. There's no dancing around it. It's like, you are doing this.
Yeah.
And I'll just lean on the fact, it's like, I believe in you. I wouldn't tell you to do something if I didn't think you could do it. And sometimes people stay resistant to that, Lily. But other times, people go, you know what, actually, well, if they tell me to do this, well, maybe I should have a crack. And then she got in on that second round of tickets. And at the end of it, she was so ridiculously fit and took it on like an absolute champ. And she had a mum there. It was really cute. Her mum was like a big supporter along the way. But from the point where she first signed up to it, she didn't believe that she could do it. By the time that it came to race day, she was ready. Like the change... Obviously, she was fitter, but the change was up here. Yeah. The change wasn't in her actual body, it was in her mind. She believed she could do it. And then she's now talking like half marathon and all these things. It's like that all comes off the back end of the belief that's built through there. And this is why, again, we go back to like, it can't be random, because if random's not going to build belief in the same way that a purposeful program is going to. I've diverted us again. We know that I'm the distraction around here, and I'm really just here to go off topic. And this is why I've got all the notes in front of me, and I still can't stick to them.
Sidebar. That's what I'm for.
From there, where we moved towards, this was actually your first one for the year.
Yes.
As first full control of the program.
Yep, Powerhouse. That was my baby. I'm not going to lie. I was so glad that you asked me to do Powerhouse whilst I was crapping my pants. So Powerhouse was, obviously, the name states, all things expressions of power training. And I feel like it was a great segue from all day, because we had built really strong engines and everyone was really, really fit. And now it was just time to change gears and focus on the expression of power and agility. And I do think this is something that, unless you're in a gym that really cares about how you train, it's probably left out and not put in. So I think like the average statistic is once you hit over 30, I think it's something like 95% of adults don't sprint anymore. And that's not including like when you go chase after your kid when they run onto the road. But it really made me think like we're losing that athleticism that maybe we did in high school and our members did when, you know, they were at university. So it's trying to bring in elements, but also making sure, again, for our clients that are a little bit older or have knee injuries, you know, that we can scale everything as needed. But I love Powerhouse.
And then even there, it's like you touched on a key thing, and we are going to get to that pretty soon. But you can have the intent of the stimulus, but it just needs to be scaled,
Yes.
and scalable to every level there. Because somebody who is in their 60s, they still need power.
100%.
Like that's one of the biggest influences in somebody like not having a fall when they're older in life is, do they have the power? Do they have the athleticism still to catch themselves, the reaction ability, all those things, like they matter. And the biggest risk factor for people when they are older it's not just your cardiovascular disease. It's not those things. It's falls.
Falling, yeah.
Like a fall has it's like the 2-year mortality on having a fall that breaks somebody's hip is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And if what we do in the gym through these years leads to them having a bit more of a build-up of one, not only like the actual strength and athleticism, but also the bone density, those things that all come with high power output relative to where you are right now.
Yeah.
Like we're potentially saving the future lives of members by doing the right things in our programs. And this is how much impact it fucking has for people. It's not just the six-pack abs or the biggest deadlift in the gym. It's like these things are going to actually have a huge impact on somebody's life long-term.
100%.
So you nailed it on Powerhouse. I think like there was that initial phase where you were like, I don't know, like people are so used to like pushing the envelope, go, 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 go. But at the end of it, the amount of lifetime PRs that had been hit off the back end of it was wild.
Yeah. The results were really cool. And what you talked about, self-belief, I think some people are wired differently and either enjoy cardio and stray away from weights. And then we have people like myself that love weights but stray away from cardio. So I think we were able to target basically everyone throughout the program. So people that were intimidated by conditioning, in all day they walked away with more self-belief. Those that were intimidated by cleans or intimidated by heavy weights, we were able to coach them through and build that self-belief. And they walked away knowing exactly what their numbers were. They walked away knowing exactly what RPE was and understanding why it's important to know this to set us up for our next block. It's like a staircase, right? So now that we are in like a hypertrophy phase, so we're currently in vigor, it's really set us up to come into this phase a lot stronger than if we hadn't tracked metrics. And yeah.
Exactly. And it's about like building seasons for the gym. It's about building a journey for the members to be on, not just going, well, what's hard today? And I think that can be confused a lot in a lot of people's programs because they feel like they have to sell a workout that's going to get the person to sign up today in their trial session. And obviously, like we don't do just one-off trials and just somebody to come roll our way in. We do have our intro programs, but the reason why we do that is because what we do is building. It's not a like, okay, come in, we'll flog you today. You'll go, oh my God, I'm so unfit. I need this. I'll sign up and then keep on going. It's like, oh no, cool. Like you come in on the right day and you might actually be still at a baseline to get started with. Like you're still like building your way through and you go, you know what, that wasn't that hard. It's like, well, that wasn't meant to be hard today.
Yep.
But what it's going to be in 3 weeks' time when you build your way through is you are going to be pushing the envelope on that there. And that's what smart training is. It doesn't have to be hard every single day. And often like we can't actually train that hard every day. That's probably the biggest difference that you see from the elites. And obviously I think you would have seen this firsthand from Kevin in his days at footy, is like they don't train hard every single day of the week. But the person who's like the everyday person tries to send it from Monday through Saturday every week and then wonder why they can't make it stick. The elite guys, like, they have recovery days built in. Like, that's part of the process versus the everyday person is just trying to like kill themselves.
Yeah.
And they wonder, it's like, well, why? Like, why is that person able to be in the shape that they are? I feel like I train harder than them. It's like, well,
more is not better.
More is not better. They're majoring in the things that you should major in, not majoring in the minors.
Yeah.
On that way there.
I also think, sorry, just to interject, I think when people come in, one thing that I love is that they come and they go, oh, we actually rest during our strength pieces. I'm like, yes, you're not meant to rush from like station to station. Like everything is thought out that you have enough rest to be able to push the weight to the stimulus that you need and the intent. And I also, one thing, like having sweat or sweating throughout a session is not an indication of a good session.
Yeah, 100%. Like when I was my strongest ever competing in strongman, like I did more sitting than doing anything else in the training session. Than like
Were you fit though?
No, I definitely was not fit. I was fit for strongman, but I was not fit.
Yeah.
But it's like the point being is like, depending on what your goal is, like you need to treat all of the variables in accordance with the goal. Like at that time, I wasn't trying to be fit. I was just trying to be as strong as possible and able to send it for 60 seconds. And if it got past 60 seconds, once again, they sitting in the back here, like on that air bike when I did the 50 cals and it got past 60 seconds, I got into a world of hurt pretty quickly. And it took me a long time to get back out of it. I think we talked about that on the podcast before, actually. So we won't go...
Looked the same on the plane on the way home.
So let's dive into the next piece. We're going to then start off like, what is the next piece is like when we start building it, we've got to have the vision of where it's going to. But the next piece is like, what's the skeleton look like? What's the framework of the week? And that's where I think a lot of places get stuck on. It's like they either try to jam in everything into every day, or on the flip side is they see an individual day as like a vacuum and forget about how it impacts the days around it there. And that's one of the things I think you've really nailed in this last couple of programs is like making sure that like Monday is going to affect the result, the output that you can give on Tuesday, but we want to make sure that we're not interfering with the output that you can do. So even though you might be fatigued, it's still something that you can then still give your best effort on. And like for us right now, it's upper body day on Monday, Tuesday is our lower body day, Wednesday is our longer cardio day, and then the Thursday, Friday ends up being like they're both full body, but one's pull dominant, one's push dominant. And then we get to our like team workout on Saturday there. And I think the thing that you've really nailed in on is it doesn't stay like that all year round. That's the other extreme where people are like, all right, every Monday is chest day. Like, why do we change that around through the programs? Like what's that matter for?
There's a few reasons. You can probably chime in. The first is like accumulative fatigue throughout the week. Okay, so looking at what are they doing on a Friday and how's that going to impact them coming in on a Monday. So sometimes we've had to switch things around dependent on the volume that we have, the tempo that we're working with, and just the phase of training. We also found, and this is more from like, I guess, an attendance perspective of, we found some days there's lower attendance. So for example, strict press is maybe not everyone's favorite day. So we found sometimes by playing around with the day that we pop certain exercises, it will increase attendance and adherence as well. So there's a bit of it is looking at the accumulative fatigue and how people are moving and how their bodies are feeling and whether we can manage that. And then the second is being a little bit smart with where we put things so that people show up and are more likely to show up as well.
And can the best thing is somebody to have consistency there. Like the attendance is one of the things that we've seen and for inside of people that are listening, like if you want to make training stick long term, you need to turn up 3 days a week or
100%.
more. So like we do put this thought into the programming. Is like we do have the ability to like make it as something that's manageable for the person who is doing 6 days a week, but we also want to make it where the highest engagement into the program is. So where's somebody turning up that extra day because they have those staple days, but they have the thing that's like they really want to do a little bit of this. Like we always finish Fridays with a bit of a pump. And I know some places for their culture is like they finish Fridays with a big sweat session. For us, we do the sweat session on Saturday where we can get in together. And the Fridays is a staple year round is like Friday finishes with some arms. You want to leave with a good little pump on. The bis and tris are popping, making your way out to, I don't know if you're going to the beach on the Friday Arvo or the beaches if you're hanging around Newey and you're a little bit younger. I don't think I've been there probably since Nate's engagement party actually. So that's a long time ago.
I don't even know
now.
what you're talking about, so that just speaks to how old I am.
So like these things there, it's like in the framework, it should balance out of not only what's going to structure it well to progress it over time, but also and not impact the days beforehand, afterwards. Like one of the big ones that we do is like if we've got an upper body day before like a deadlift day, we're not going to do our pulling work on our upper body as something that's then like lower back intensive. So we're not going to do a bent over row. We're going to use like a ring row, gorilla row. We're going to do pull-ups or so on. Or then if we do want to do that horizontal row, we might do seal rows with dumbbells, because we're going to not tax the lower back as much. So that when you get into the deadlift day, the next day, your lower back's fresh. You can go in and you can go hard at that, and you can make the most out of that there. Because the worst thing overall, like if we're protecting the stimulus that we're after is the main key piece there, is that if we're training deadlifts and we want to train it hard, we don't want to have residual fatigue impacting that there, because otherwise it's just going to feel hard and you're not going to actually get stronger out of it. So, and we want to have, like, I guess, a bit of a signature feel of like what our week looks like. It's going to adapt. It wants to be predictable, where people can go, okay, cool, I know that I'm going to turn up on Monday and at squats or so for this block here, but it all still feels like a Newstrength workout. It's not just like haphazardly chucked together. I think that's like some of the really key strong pieces, and it helps build confidence, because when they come in one week and then the next week it builds upon that, they can then work and go, well, I did 100 kilos last week for my squats. I'm going to go to 105 or 110. And I just have this simple linear progression alongside that, that then when they see that and they can do that, and then they can go a little bit more than last week, it starts to build the belief and the trust in where they're going to. So the thing that you told them there at the start of the block is, I think you can do a 120 at the end of this block. When they're seeing them be able to pop it a little bit extra weight on there, they start to go, you know what, I think I will hit that 120. And the point where they click and they finally believe they can do it is when shit starts to happen.
Yeah.
So we talked a little bit about it. Let's dive into the next piece, is like consistent stimulus and scaling. So how do we do that in our training programs? Like there's a few key things, but I'm going to let you jump in first, because everyone's sick of listening to me if they're listening to this podcast. So we need to get a little bit of Lily in here.
So what was it? Consistent stimulus and intent?
Consistent stimulus across the room. So like how do we make it, if we're trying to get a aerobic power stimulus, so how do we scale that for the person who's the fittest in the room versus the newest person in the room? And like some of those key pieces, what do we do in those ways there? Strength-wise as well.
Yeah, I think it's important to look at who's in the class and who's in the room. And I come back to perceived effort. So, you know, what Dill is pushing on a certain way or in a conditioning effort is going to look completely different to a new mum that's just walked into the gym and given birth, 6 to 8 weeks ago, ideally. So it's really important that as coaches, we give targets to clients that is relatable. So I'm not going to have this mum come in and do 20 box jumps. It might be a box step up, or we might regress it to a power kettlebell swing and focusing on utilizing her glutes. And then for someone like Dill, it might be trying to increase the height on the box jump in that way. So there's heaps that, like, and coaches will know this, there's such a variety of way or a scale that we can use. And I feel like this is the fun part of coaching, because everyone will have their own bias and like way that they do it. But as long as the stimulus stays the same. So for example, on Wednesdays, we have our long conditioning day. And I do give people the opportunity to have 2 stimulus options. So for those that come in for less than 3 days a week, and maybe they're feeling really, really fresh and they just want to really go hard, then they can use it as like a threshold training. So they can really push the heart rate. They can get into like the 170s, zone 4, and rest, recover, and keep going. But for those that are using this kind of as like a recovery, active recovery day, I want them to sit in a zone 2, and I want that stimulus to be a longer aerobic feel. So they shouldn't be pushing into the red zone. And that's them learning discipline to pull themselves back as well. So I think it's
still learning that one, by the way, guys.
Same. So I think it's important that sometimes a session can have different stimulus. It just depends on where it is. So like a lot of this is individual, and this is why like generic programs don't work, because it's for our members, it's for our community, and it's based on what they're doing on a Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday.
Yeah, 100%. And that's like you nailed in on that there. It's like you're going to have certain things where it's like, okay, it might be we call them levels, but it's like what's the target that they might have on the air bike it might be 30 on, 30 off targets, and we might do it as an EMOM, so it's like it gives it as a variable, like what time they do it in, but we're trying to set a target and go, hey, we want you to be about 30 seconds on it this week. So we want you to have to push the envelope, but it should take you about 30 seconds to get it done, so you get 30 seconds to get yourself prepped for the next station. So it might be like things like that there. And then also when we get to those like mixed modal efforts, like it could be in similar thing on the minutes, having scale in not only the weights that people use, but sometimes it's those movements. As you said before, like with the taking away that new mum might not be doing a box jump straight away. They might be going to our step ups or so on. Something that then like the box jump could be one, too scary for them of like the thought of whether they can get up there or not. But two, it could also just be too fatiguing to where it's like the intended stimulus that we want out of that effort there is not going to be the same as what they're going to get if they go for it. If they do those things there, it might be higher. It might be pushing them into a higher threshold, or the fatigue could be too much. They can't then stay consistent with that from set to set. And then ultimately that then impacts on how the following days of the program roll out for them, of like how much recovery they're able to get, how much they're able to actually push in the next few days. And I think that's really the key thing that gets missed in a lot of programs, is like, how do we make it fit every person in the room and get the result that we're trying to get out of the program, right?
And I think as well, like, you want people to feel confident that they can achieve the task, but you also want to stretch them a little bit. Like anything in life, like you want to be in the growth zone, but you don't want it to be so complicated or complex that, which something we might find okay to do, but it's too much. And this has been trial and error for me with Olympic weightlifting in the gym and having certain complexes. And I've realized some of it is just too much of a stretch because I've come from a bias of Olympic weightlifting, and then finding like a nice balance for our general members. So yeah, I think making members feel confident that they can do the task, but also stretching them.
For sure. Let's get into the fun stuff.
Ooh.
So our next piece, so we're talking about is like purposeful variation. So we've talked about like a lot of like the structure in those pieces before, but how do you apply structure into the variation on it there? And I think that's where the magic of meeting that art and science of the program really comes in, because instead of us just looking at the program as a way of like then going, okay, cool, let's just change this exercise for this exercise, let's just chuck this one in. There's a process into how we're doing that, and then that's going to result in the adaptation or the growth of the stimulus or the progression through those there. And I think that's really where the magic comes into then keeping it mentally engaging, because there is changes, but also getting them on track to getting the results that you're after there. And I think that's something that we've really nailed down on in the last few months in the program, and in particular just like one of the pieces that where we sit in the industry as a whole is like, it's not about just randomly throwing things together in that there. It's not about just going, okay, let's just make it harder than last week, harder than the week before again. Is then how do we progress those things? And there's a few tools that we can use on them. So let's start with strength side of things. How do we apply a bit of variation in a way that's going to help us move closer to the goal?
Good question. I think we've used things like your IWT, so interval weight trainings. We've used things, at the moment, we have rest pauses. So I think changing the way that we apply the stimulus has been a really good change up for our members. So the stimulus and intent at the moment is still hypertrophy. So we're running a 3-week cycle. Well, it's a 6-week cycle essentially, but we're doing 3 weeks of rest pause. And we also have to be conscious that you don't want to overtrain someone, and you can only go so far with certain training styles. So with the rest pause, we're doing that for 3 weeks on the back squat, and then we'll change them back to like a linear progression, because I'm conscious of having such a high intensity on the bar for long periods of time just puts people at risk of injury. And people, like our members, obviously want to get stronger, but they're not here to lift 200 kgs, apart from Dill and a few other guys.
Hey, me too.
Oh, and Jacob. And Nathan wants to hit 140 clean.
Called out.
Power clean.
Oh.
It's in his power 12.
We talked about power 4.
Yeah, it's just publicly called out on the pod.
So within like our cycle of training, the 12 weeks, I love the idea of variety, but it is also a very fine line of giving people enough time to assimilate to the stimulus and make sure that they can progress week to week, but we can't just keep increasing the weight or the volume. So we kind of hit a peak where like the risk versus benefit comes in, and then that's where we come in and we'll tweak things, and we'll either, we'll just use methods and tools and apply them.
100%. Like, and really, I think the piece that you're nailing in, like, what's the adaptation cycle of it? Like, how long have you got to adapt to that before it becomes redundant and where you're going to be hitting your head against the wall to just squeeze out those last couple of pieces? And that's where like things like phase potentiation really come in, like where it's like, okay, if I'm going to build this now, what's that going to set me up to tweak into on the next piece there? Obviously, within a given exercise, like you've got tools like that of like, okay, we've got our like variation in terms of the actual set and rep structure, like the structure of that there, like what are we doing? We've got the loading patterns, like you can train a bench press with the barbell, you can do it with bands on the barbell, we can do dumbbell, and they're all going to change things slightly, and that's just going to shift where we're putting the load to, but it's still training the chest, the shoulders, the triceps in a similar way. So it's like we can change that. And if you are powerlifting, and like we've both been there, it's like you probably want it to be a bench press most of the time. But when you're an everyday person, we probably want to vary that up so that we're strong everywhere, as opposed to be strong in that one little piece there. And then we do look into those like exercise variations. Like one of the things that I really love is like that comes from that powerlifting world or that weightlifting world. It's like you pick something that trains the weak point for you to then build it back into the traditional competition lift. Whether that's like if you're in weightlifting, for me, it was always like hang everything because I needed to be snappier. I needed to be able to produce force quicker. I was really strong off the floor when I had time to produce it. So I was like, I needed to do more hang work. Funnily enough, when I was actually weightlifting, I very rarely did it. I just wanted to send things from the floor where I had more power in it because that made me feel good.
Doesn't surprise me.
No surprises why I didn't go very far in weightlifting, right? But then what it did was then when I did do that, when I did get out of my own biases, I generally got better because I was able to build the weakness up, which made me then bring it back to the regular movement, made me stronger. It could be close grip bench transitioning towards a regular competition bench or things like that there. And I think it gives a bit of that mental stimulation because it is something different, but it doesn't tie you down into not being able to like do it or where it gets too random to where it actually doesn't transfer. And really we're looking for like transfer of training when we're into that piece there. The last two pieces, and we're going to make this quick and get rolling our way through, but I want to dive into like the program itself's a journey. It's not like this is on paper now, go and do it. And I think this is the part that we've been able to really nail in is like we do the planning for 12 months in advance. But there's also a preview and a review process that's built into our structures in-house to make sure there's like one, the preview is our coaching notes. So our coaches all know what the key pieces that we're looking for. Like Lily does all these for us here. What else do you include in those coaches' notes? And also for the members often get to read a lot of them as well. Like what's there and how does that help us in that coaching process?
I think it sets the scene. I think that's the biggest thing is when you go into something either as a coach or a member, you want to know what it looks like, what the path is, the journey, right? So you know what to expect. And then if anyone wants to nerd out, we usually have more detailed notes on the intended stimulus, what we're trying to target in terms of energy systems, what this looks like on a day-to-day basis, and then building up like to the whole 12-week cycle. So coaches will get the brief before we kind of launch a new training program of what to expect, what the coaching cues and I guess like main focus points are as well, and when the changes are coming in. So every time we have a shift in the programming, there's a why to it and how it applies to the stimulus. So it's very important.
100%. And then our feedback loops that we have alongside it there is something that we've been really strong on, and particularly since you've taken the reins on it. I'm a little bit more like stubborn of like, I'm in charge and this is how we do
because you're so
things.
smart.
I
need the feedback loops.
I don't think that's true. I think that's I'm just more stubborn as like, stay the course. I know, don't overthink it. You guys are wrong. I know it's hurting, but you're wrong. But I think it's been really valuable of like where we then bring it back to the team of like how things are going, what's the actual result of, like, if this is our intended stimulus that we're getting here, is that actually what happened on the gym floor? And I think that's the thing that you've really nailed in on is like, okay, cool. This is what we are, like, this is what we're seeing. Is that what we planned for? And then can we move that across?
I think it's like we've got a boss team of coaches and we have Buff Bev, who's also a physio. So we're really lucky in the setup that we have. We have coach who's Claire, who is our running coach. So we have all these inputs from different niches on our team, which gives us a really unique insight, I think, to, what is missing from the program? What would you like to see more of? What deficits do we have? Have we neglected our glute medius or our adductors in the last program? So how can we tie this in? So usually I've only just started implementing this, but a few weeks out before we start a new program, we'll do like a panel reflection from the coaches and they come to me with what worked well, what didn't work well, why, and what would you like to see? And I kind of take all this information and then I go off like what our structure is for the year and I kind of filter that in, but ultimately like we have to make the decision. So that's myself and I come to you for your eyes over it to make sure. But it is definitely a collaborative process and is so helpful to lean on the coaches that we do have and the expertise.
And I think this is a really good point to like highlight as well. When we are looking at the fitness industry overall, it's like most gyms are still operating out of a team of coaches that are like got a side job. Like they're just in a couple of hours here and there. And this is why I'm so strong on like what we're trying to do with Newstrength is like creating career opportunities for coaches, because the level of detail that we can go to as a team, the worldviews that we have, the experiences that we have, and the fact that we actually have the time to do that is because we have career coaches. We don't have side gig coaches. And I think that's really one of the big reasons as to why some other gyms and I believe everyone's trying to do the best thing they can, but where they have trouble with being able to implement something at this level is because they have kind of like Frankenstein together team of like this person to just take this shift and this person to take this shift. There's not these communication cycles because everyone's just trying to do their best as what they can, but they're all a little bit all over the place. So it's hard to be on the ball as much as the level of detail. And it's become way more detailed in the process and nailed down since you've taken it over, because I've kind of had a tendency to just go in and just go ham and get it done and like, this is what we're doing, guys. But then all of these feedback loops are now built into our structures and processes, which is really hard to do if you don't have the model from a team perspective as what we have here. And I think that's something that like we need to change the standards of fitness industry. The fitness industry's let down too many people already. And I think that these things here, like they should become the normal. Like this is how a program should be done. This is like, same again, I know we've talked about Kevin already, but it's like, they don't just haphazardly just get in people to work with the elite athletes. It's like, oh, we're just covering it on this shift, and then, oh, we need somebody for Friday Arvo, just throw them in here. It's like they're professionals, and that's the reason why they work with the professional athletes, because they're all working as a team and making sure it's all working together. And I think that's a lot of the time what we build at the core of how we build Newstrength out is like it's a team that's building together to a common vision as opposed to just being slapped together. That's my rant done.
Nice. Sidebar.
So we are going to wrap this one up. What it comes down to, and obviously you guys have just listened in to a huge part of the inside of all the work that goes through into the back end of the programming by Lily as she leads our way through the Newstrength program and builds our way to what we believe is one of the strongest suits or one of the strongest programs through going around, not only in terms of the actual structure of the program, but meets that art and science of it there. And it really comes down to like world-class programming is simple. It's understanding your people first, it's shaping the pathway and creating a process that you can actually deliver that and adjust on the fly. It's being adaptable, it's being able to move our way through. And that does come to having an elite team, and we're fortunate enough that we do have that. If you guys have been listening into this here and you want to just give Lily a shout out in the gym, if you see her around, because you guys probably don't realize like how much work there is that does go into this here, and she's been working super hard. So Lily, thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having me. See you in 3 months.
She'll be hiding away for another little bit now, but thank you guys so much for listening. This is a little bit of a longer one, but I did want to really get into the tactical pieces of like all of these things that we do go through behind the scenes to give you guys a bit of an insight and just show you guys how much the team works at all these things to make sure that we can deliver an awesome product for you all. So that's it for this week on the Newstrength Way, guys, and we'll see you next week.